Good morning. Okay, that is very bright in my face. Let's move you over here. Okay, that's a little bit better. It's very
Hello, hello. Don't you worry. This is an episode of How to Lose Your Job in 90 Days and not an episode of The Righteous Gemstones, despite that angelic glow that was streaming in for us. But we've made it. We've made it to March, the final month. I mean, I really don't have much of an intro for this week's video. I'm really just attempting to stay inspired and hopeful, which honestly is a bit of a tall order. So why don't I think let's just dive right in.
have made it to March. We're in the final month, which feels crazy. Crazy to say, honestly. It's like the time has gone simultaneously fast and slow. I'm gonna make some coffee because daylight savings, whichever version of that word it is, happened. And the really cool thing about living in this lawless land of Phoenix is we don't change our clocks. So for half of the year, I am 2 hours behind my colleagues in New York, and for half of the year, I am 3 hours. So we have just entered I'm 3 hours behind New York. So this week has been a little sleepy, a little rough. An hour does make a big difference. So I've been starting my days by like 7 a.m. my time, and like straight into like camera on meetings, which is, no one needs to be doing that at 7 a.m.
I should be sleeping. I don't have time for this daytime shit.
If you're watching this around the time that it comes out, then you are probably aware of how insane the world is right now, and it's just feeling like a weird time to be thinking about your future and thinking about, taking risks and doing something different, just given how much instability and just unpredictability there really is in kind of every corner you look at the moment. So I was thinking I need some inspiration. I want to, I don't want to get lost in pragmatic details at this point about kind of a dream. I just need to feel inspired. I just need to feel excited and hopeful and good. So I was thinking of using this time this morning because I never have my mornings free. Usually I do most of my work in the mornings, and later in the afternoon I have some free hours. But today it's working in reverse. So my mind is like fresh and as good as it's gonna get for the day at this moment in time. So let's get on the coffee because I haven't had any yet, and it's like 8 a.m. So step one. Okay, so I think what I'm after is, that I've done these different exercises. I've done the writing exercise. I've landed on two options. One being the bed and breakfast as being kind of this lofty dream because it feels just so different from anything I've ever really actually done that it feels so out of reach or just far, just distant. Like I can't really grasp it. And so one of the things that I really liked about the writing exercise is that it kind of put me in the place of imagining that and thinking about what it felt like, what I enjoyed, what I was doing. And it was interesting because I think pulling myself out of my like rational brain and getting more into like a creative writing space helped me to feel closer to it and to help me kind of imagine what it would feel like to be in that environment, and allowed me to connect with that idea in such a kind of like clearer or more meaningful way. So I was thinking it could be interesting to continue to like develop that feeling and see what comes of it, but maybe in a different medium. So instead of writing, doing a mood board, it's just a different way of like playing with imagination and inspiration. So that is kind of what I'm attempting, is just to be inspired and just to kind of connect more with the idea and see how that feels. One of the things I want to foster for this month and probably the next few months is doing things just because I want to do them, and not having the idea that they need to lead to some specific outcome in order for them to be worth me doing. Coming out of corporate mindset, you're always thinking about optimizing, you're always thinking about being productive, you're always thinking about measurement, all of these things that are such limitations in a way to creative process and the curiosity and exploration that comes from that. And so even though I'm not necessarily creating a work of art, I'm, attempting to maybe reimagine or recreate my life, which feels like kind of, I would say that relates to the creative process. So I enjoy the way I felt when I was doing that writing exercise, and I would like to get into that state or get into that sensing from a different angle, and I want to play with images. So that's good enough. That's the only reason I need to do it. I think a lot of the next few months are going to be kind of retraining the way that I center myself, which is interesting to kind of start to pick apart, but that is the topic for therapy. I'm gonna kind of just talk you through how I'm approaching it. I think there are probably a million ways to do this, however you like. If you're someone that wants something more tactical and kind of like classic vision board, physical, that's obviously such an option, and wanting something a little bit more specific in terms of the bed and breakfast, I really want to do something digital. I am taking a social media break because I just needed it. So I'm going to use Pinterest mostly. There is one account, one property that I do follow. It is like dream. I've never been to it, but it looks like a dream. So I probably will dabble, just go directly to their Instagram account and just pull some swipe. But otherwise, I'm just gonna use Pinterest. Old school. I already have a board for bed and breakfast, so anytime I've just like casually been on Pinterest and looking at unrelated things and thought, oh, like that would be kind of cute if I ever, again, one day in the future had a bed and breakfast, like let me save that. So I do have some things on there. I have an existing board, but I am gonna be a little bit more focused today. I'm just diving in. This is genuinely just, I don't know why there's so much plates. Maybe I was recently looking for dinnerware. Who knows what I was doing last year, but just really looking for things that catch my eye and then just saving them to the B&B, the B&B board. But okay, but now that I've just been completely distracted by my, home feed, I'm actually going to search for dinner parties as like the specific search. It's really easy for me to fall into or to start looking at it from like a dinner party perspective because, ooh, I love this. These colors are so beautiful. Just so bright and cheery. But I think from like a, oh, that's great too. Gosh, sorry, I'm gonna be so distracted. but from a dinner perspective, because, or a shared food perspective, because I think it's something that really speaks to like the connection part of what I would want, and why a bed and breakfast is so different than owning an Airbnb, for example. So for me, that's way more interesting, or it's just more important to me, like that connection. And so I see, you know, these tablescapes where people ideally are coming together and meeting and connecting with people they didn't travel with, but you know, nonetheless. And I'm not really being too selective. I'm just following like whatever is standing out, or whatever is like catching my eye, and saving it, and then worrying about like sorting through it later. Really just kind of looking for inspiration. Okay, so I just wanted to like quickly give you a recap of all of the images I've just saved, that span like architecture, tablescapes, just like general design for the space. But this is like everything that I've saved, and I can already start to see some trends here, just some like themes that are kind of continuing. But I'm gonna just actually leave this here. I think Pinterest does have like a collage function. I just don't particularly like it. I find it to be a little limiting. So I actually use Miro quite a bit for work as like a whiteboard space. So I am going to use Miro for building out my vision board. So this is in an existing project that I already have started for myself. And then, so I'm just gonna add a frame here. I'm not gonna start a whole new space. It's actually for this YouTube project. So I'm just gonna add it to this existing, add a new frame to this existing project. Then once I have the frame created, what I'm gonna do is start going through the Pinterest board itself and just start screenshotting different images that are really kind of, they're making the first cut. They're making it through the first, you know, round of review. So looking at those, and then just plopping those into Miro. And then we'll start to kind of assemble those into the frame in a way that just feels good. There's not really a right or wrong way to do this, just kind of based on what I think goes nicely together, based on what feels right, which is like, just feels kind of cohesive, but also, you know, touches on the different elements that I like from the different photos themselves. And then just start to assemble them.
1 hour later.
So the first thing I'm noticing is like, I have a lot of these seascapes. Apparently I want to be by the sea. Who doesn't? I mean, I'm living in the desert. You don't have. So kind of pulling these just beautiful like naturescapes that are like simple, and I think really kind of speak to that like slower living aesthetic, or just idea, like disconnecting from technology, disconnecting from whatever you have going on, you know, in your day-to-day life, and really getting an escape. And I think, you know, we talked about it in the last video, but just nature has such an incredible way of like soothing us. So yeah, I'm noticing a lot of nature, a lot of seascapes, which honestly sounds wonderful to me right now. So maybe I need a vacation. Next, obviously we spend a lot of time looking at the dinner parties. So inspired by these, like I just think it seems really fun. You know what I mean? Kind of, I enjoy meeting new people. I also enjoy food. I also enjoy like chit-chatting over a nice cocktail or a bottle of wine. And you know, a lot of these are outside tablescape, so I think it kind of goes back and kind of connects nicely to that, those naturescapes that we were seeing, that you're seeing kind of here, just kind of blending itself or lending itself, whatever, nicely to kind of this communal space where, in my mind, people come together and talk about their day, talk about, or if it's more of a breakfast instead of a dinner party, talk about what they have planned for the day and what they did the day prior. I just think it's so fun. But then moving on to kind of the space itself, which is so important. I think it sets the tone and creates like the environment, obviously, that people are stepping into. So I noticed a lot of color. I am not like the black and white, neutral, less is more girl when it came to this. Like, that is not interesting to me. This is interesting to me. Beautiful little details, attention to details. Like, these handles are incredible on these cabinets. I love those. The mixture of color and patterns and textures in this image, the fish tiles here, like those are so, if they're connected to the place, the country, the city, the town that you're in, like that's just such a sweet little detail. These faces on the curtains, I am obsessed with those. Like, there's a lot here, and I think it just feels vibrant and warm and inviting, and a place for you to soften. And I think that is like kind of the key, is really a space to just melt, to just kind of like give in to the joys of life, is kind of what I'm envisioning. So that's kind of it. That's what I'm imagining. And she's beautiful. This is really fun, actually. And it does take me to the feeling of the writing exercise. It's a little less like detail oriented in terms of like, what am I doing? How am I spending my time? But it's fun in that it almost builds off of it, right? Like taking what I was writing about and what I was imagining there, and then adding a visual component that kind of complements what was happening in my mind as I was writing and thinking about what that experience would look like. It's kind of cool to marry that with what you see here. I would say time well spent. Time well spent. What will I do with it? Where will it lead? I have absolutely no idea, but have fun.
Well, as I always say, this is a place with more questions than answers, so I hope you had a wonderful time. I know that sometimes I benefit from having someone outside of myself, usually my younger sister, give me like a thumbs up or cosign on what seems like a silly or playful use of my time instead of doing something that I, air quotes, should be doing. So if you need that little extra, like, yes, go do the thing, then yeah, go do the thing and have fun. And I hope you really enjoy it. Till the next one, thank you so much for being here. Love ya. Bye.